been, at least the LCK, I think LCK Cup was a different story, but LCK thus far has been a slow start for the GOAT, as M.B.E.S.A does get taken away here. Xin Zhao seems like a no-brainer here. Sejuani is another, so I'm going to signify what Gideon would rather do, and I like this. I think owner Sejuani is still crazy, but T1 are the team that uses Xin Zhao the best out of, I think, possibly any team that we have, because the all-in potential, the ability to re-engage fights and split them up when it's brawly, when it's skirmishy, when you have these long, drawn-out back and forths, the owner just plays it incredibly well. So I think this is a good call-out, that it's probably going to be the Sejuani is a definite lock-in, and then we are getting towards the, you know, slightly less broken top laners. There's still a lot, and we'll see what Doran is going to be looking towards.
It is, for me, Camille and Jax that are kind of on my mind at the moment, as both of them synergize exceptionally well with the Sejuani if they want to play around that top side. Of course, if they're playing in a top 2v2, generally the Xin Zhao is very strong. And Doran now wanting to have a little bit of safety up there as the Na is going to be picked. A very comfortable blind, but doesn't really, you know, reek of excitement and happiness.
It doesn't spark joy.
No, not a lot of joy sparking.
It's fine. What this does do is give the possibility, if NONGHSIM do pick a mid laner, to get counterpick for FAKER. That is, yet Nar is already picked.
Nah, Sejuani has some pretty good ults already being represented, and you could see Calyx counting there. He did 1-2. He was like, that's 2 good ultimates. Let's do it. And he locks it away. I don't know whether that's what he was doing at all.
That's what it felt like.
It is what it looked like.
Also, now you still get Ashe Sejuani.
Hey,
just with extra steps.
There you go. As Renata is going to be picked away potentially.
Blind, like and then they're gonna. Well, I was about to say, and then they're gonna ban Nico, but it looks like they are not going to do so just yet. RYZE is gonna get picked up instead here for FAKER.
Oh my god, this is one of the most classic combos of T1 from years past, and that is RYZE and Na.
Yeah,
picked together.
Yeah, it's also one of those things where you're like, one of FAKER's most iconic. I'm like, I don't think that's true at this point anymore.
It has sort of run around a little.
There are a little bit too many of those. Azir is the big one, but that one is obviously taken off the board. The Nautilus, the Braum taken away. That does signal to me that they are, in fact, not picking Renata on 4 and are going to just save counterpick for Keria. Probably pick up an AD carry for Smash here. This is looking very Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
I also think NONGHSIM know that.
It's looking Zyrie too. So the Rakan is going to be banned. I actually think that's really smart.
The downside to Kai'Sa, obviously, is that the lane into Ashe can be quite tough. You have a lot of setup, so I think that both MF and Jhin make a lot of sense. Jhin does well on the follow-up, and Jhin is obviously also quite solid in lane. Then again, so is MF. So I feel like both of these do make a lot of sense. I think the one downside to MF is that actually getting a full ult off into both Ashe and Xin Zhao, I think, can be a little hard. Xin Zhao also is able to just function regardless of that. And then what Leona here, I think, makes a lot of sense given that the Braum has already been taken away. And it also cancels the ultimate from the MF really reliably.
Well, Galio would be very Lehens if they were to lock that one in.
Is it going to be Kingan's GP?
Oh god, yeah, create the Thunderdome, make the circle.
Right?
Let it rip, baby.
MF ults and you just...
Say no?
You say no. Because there's no shot that the Galio is not going support, right? You're not picking Galio into...
Unless you are taking Sylas top. Yeah.
Oh, that could be the angle. Yeah, Sylas top. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. So it's Sylas top for Kingan here, which early on is rough. But yeah, post 6, obviously, you have...
And so many of our top laners have been practicing Sylas in solo queue recently. Like, this is not like a new thing. This is something that people have been waiting to bring out for quite some time. And it was an OG pick into the Na many moons ago as Keria diving towards his Nico of old. This is a champion that he's found a lot of success on in the past, but it was often in Kalista lanes. So he would often have a whole lot of extra pizzazz to play.
So a lot of intricacies, a lot of interesting decisions being made as we go into that game number 2.
Yeah, and a different story when it comes to range and things like that. I feel like both teams are pretty similar. Maybe NONGHSIM with a slight advantage there, but it's not going to be the same situation as what we saw in game 1. I still think NONGHSIM looking absolutely fine, but they looked fine in game number 1 as well. We'll see whether T1 can close this one out or whether NONGHSIM are bringing us to 3.
미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
Double Poros, what does it mean? It's both teams making their way out onto the rift. It is blue side for NONGHSIM this time. As T1 setting up the defense. And Gio moving down with Lehens as they do clear out this ward. And they are just going to park themselves down here. So no one getting too much deep vision or any level 1 shenanigans or anything like that, as OMG, couple of Poros walking past one another, and Calyx going to get some vision down. Onus seeing it immediately. Grats on the extra gold.
Nicely implemented OMG there. Very subtle.
Mm-hmm. All right.
2 Sejuanis. It is kind of crazy.
It is. And now there's 2 Fakers. Now there's 2 Smashes. Don't you think it's kind of cool that, you know, Smash is playing for T1 and one of T1's most famous AD carries is called Bang? We've got onomatopoeias as, you know, T1 AD carries. It's kind of dope.
Yeah, it is dope. I have nothing to add.
Yeah.
Good thought.
Thank you. I've had good thoughts before, and I'm glad that there's proof now that I had a good one. Thanks to you for recognizing it. Awkward conversations aside, let's have a look at how this bottom lane is going to go, as Lehens is going to be throwing down some Qs, trying to get some damage down. As you can see, Smash getting electrocuted here by the Elise. The Spiderlings being frustrating. It's good volley, but T1 are giving back as much as they're getting here, as Kingen moving up towards Doran, just missing the chains there as we can see, but able to Kingslayer over the level 2 spike. Looking good for the Sylas as the boomerang does go wide.
Imagine how to trade. Oh, I was about to say,
yeah,
if he hits the chain.
Yeah, and he does. That's the solo! And the flash down for Doran. Okay, Kingen.
Yeah, Doran did escape a lot of what I'm sure would have been some rough criticism had this team not won the last game.
Yeah.
This, to me, is more egregious because in the last game he was focused heavily, right? There was at least a lot of reasons for why he was in the position that he was in. The map was being split kind of against him. We saw Owner, you know, mostly paying his attention towards the bot lane as...
Oh, God.
Oh, God. It's no flash.
It's going from bad to worse, ladies and gentlemen, as Doran's level 3, and he's just dead. Gideon, was that like a level up? Oh no, he got the triumph proc. Oh God, okay. Yep. Yeah, that couldn't be going worse. He didn't blow the teleport, there's that. He just walked it back. So there's the silver lining. I was looking for it. It was hard to find, but I got there in the end.
Hooray for small miracles, Atlas.
Yep. Calyx also having a rough time, as Faker got the counter pick and looks pretty good as well. And up towards the top lane again, the 2-0 Sylas with a couple of items compared to an empty green bottle.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Calyx that picked us into the RYZE, right? Because they picked us.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're true. Yeah, you're right.
Which makes this also a little bit rough for Calyx. Now, I do think that you picked the Galio not because of the early matchup. It's mainly so that you can match the impact in side lane. And I do think post first back you should be in a position that's a lot better.
Well, oh, man. He was just confused.
Did you say what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it sounded like to me. He's level 2.
Okay.
Oh.
Doesn't even flash, Gideon, by the way.
Yeah, just walked it off and then had a giggle. So things looking pretty good for NONGHSIM towards the top side of the map. 500 gold, the lead as a result. And Doran hitting Mega now, but it's really feeling like things are real rough here on the top side of the map. King diving in once again.
They're not getting better, Atlas, because the biggest advantage you have in this matchup, I'd argue, is the first 6 levels.
Yep.
Before Sylas has his ult, because you're actually able to...
Yeah, you can ult Na when Na can't ult.
Yes, and again, oh my god, this wave state. Oh, this is so bad.
So...
And Owner is at least on the top half of the map, so we'll see if he can fix the wave. But so it's also because with Sylas, once you get enough ability haste, like the chain is basically just not on cooldown.
Oh god, if he lands another chain, and it could be all over, as Owner is coming on up, and Kingen not overextending. Oh, unless he is. Yeah, he is. It's just going to get executed. Owner comes in and takes that one as a freebie. Maybe a bit of an overextension there from good old Kingen.
Doran is just repeating the game plan of Gio last game.
The ultra bait strategy?
The ultra bait where you're like, okay, he's already died twice. He's just not playing well today. Q, Owner arriving. Jokes aside, Owner does actually save the lane there because that lane was frozen by Kingen in an abhorrent state. And Owner really nicely done here as well. Look at the positioning there. Actually setting up in a way where he's not visible at all. And is also in range to go for the Q flash. Nicely done. Means that, again, Kingen's still ahead. I still think this matchup is looking roughest. Woo!
Flash traded here in the mid lane as Calyx tidies up the minion wave. Gets some priority there as well as Gideon takes the first grub out of the first set. Q not going to get doubled up on here in this top lane as we do have the swap occurring. And Gideon should be able to lock down the remaining grub here. So that is first feat of strength of the warfare variety. As Gideon now going to take himself a crab. And we've got a fake misfortune waiting in the brush. Slahen's going to see that one come on through. T1 with the information. Still going to get tagged by the volley. Slahen's comes up towards the top side of the map, and the gold entirely even. It does feel like the map is being controlled by NONGHSIM, and this is also a very sneaky Gideon moving into the enemy jungle. Lahen's going to join him there as well as Owner and Carrier looking to rotate around. A possible sandwich angle here is only level 5 for Gio as well.
Alex has his ult. They should know it. They should know at this point, though. But maybe not. We'll see. I don't think they're ready.
Yeah, Owner gonna get spotted here, but does spot out the rest of NONGHSIM as well as Lahen's doesn't need to move up, has his spiders taken down. As another taunt coming on through. Remember, these mid laners do not have flashes available as Faker plays the do-si-do with Calyx. Winds of War gonna go wide.
Whew. Yeah, with Merc Treads, Calyx doing way better.
Yep.
The 1v1, and we saw as well both of them shadowing towards the top half of the map because Faker also clearly knew that something wasn't quite
flash.
Okay. Carrier, I assume not having his clone available, not able to get rid of that. And again, that's the counter pick.
Yeah, nicely played here by Gio so far, who is kind of licking his wounds from the last game. Cannon is going to be taken successfully here by Smash. T1 doing fine here as far as this duo lane is concerned, but I might be saying that a little bit too
flash.
soon. And
hello.
Yeah, Gio is going to get spotted. And wanders on out.
They know.
But remember, yeah, Lahen's is there, does manage to get the cleanse this time around as the repel going to avoid the snare coming on through from Carrier as Doran with the nod just flashes on top of Kingen. Can he get the ult off? The answer is yes, as Doran's tanking it up and will go down. A 1-for-1 under the bottom outer turret.
You'll take that if you are Kingen, Doran. The flash invested, meaning that it's a trade up. Also, I am just wondering if you know that the Elise is there, which it seems like they clearly did.
Yep.
We shouldn't be walking up and having our cleanse burned for no reason.
He was very committed to standing in that brush, we have to admit. Let's have a look at this one once again. I think this is just Kingen being 2-0 and being too, like, beefy to take down. Has he even got the Kingslayer off? You can see there.
Doran
before.
I think he could have just walked it off. I don't think he had to stay there because Kingen obviously was going to try and look for the Gnar. You saw him pick the ult at the beginning of that play. Doran's struggles continue. Even with that kill, the 1-for-1 trade, not what you're looking for when you pay that much attention towards the play.
Once again, a dragon that has gone pretty much ignored.
It's
one ward on it,
frankly.
Especially after we've been talking up the fact that dragons have been very, very strong. We saw that in the stats, in the pre-show.
And stats never lie, Atlas.
Not ever. That's all right. Smash and Carrier up against just a lonely Gio right now, because Lahen's is having a bit of a journey. He will be moving towards the top side eventually, as the next round of grubs in 30 seconds time could be our next point of contention. Gideon and Lahen's looking to gang up on Faker here in the mid lane, whose flash is still not off cooldown. There's the taunt. That is going to mean a free cocoon. Gideon should be able to come on over as never mind. Faker, that phase rush, able to run it off.
Yep. Has Mercs as well, so the CC not quite that long. Big thing there was that Gideon's damage wasn't there.
Yeah.
If he's there, he definitely have enough to take down the RYZE, but not going to be the case. Faker obviously sitting on a good amount of MR, but not a lot of armor yet. I'm sure eventually RYZE, as we all know, will become a turret as King and...
I've seen this one before, as in the meantime, we've got some grubs taken as well. Teleport back in from Faker, but it should be the first grub being taken at least. It's the rest of T1 wanting to fight for this. 3 versus 3, but it's a flanking Lehens. And Calyx is lying in wait as well. So 5 grubs going to be the answer. The arrow goes entirely wide as there is a Cocoon to interrupt the bullet time. Ona now getting a bit of a heal as the knockup comes through with the Pop Blossom. Still the heroic charge not going to be enough, and Carrier will be the answering kill. Calyx grabs that one, and there's a Justice Punch onto Faker. Lehens looking for a little bit more as they want to take the Realm War out as the taunt doesn't work. And Faker gets everyone to safety. Apart from, unfortunately, Carrier, who died earlier.
I'm not sure. I have to see in the replay. Either Calyx's taunt was a split second too late, or Owner cancelled it with Q.
I know the taunt went off, but
it did
Faker
go off?
wasn't in it.
Got you, okay.
It just taunted other people and not the RYZE.
Man, that... both ways could have gone very poorly. Very thin margins on that fight, kind of continuing what we've seen in the series thus far. As we take another look here, Lehens on the flank is spotted, but doesn't stop him. That arrow missing is crucial. If that goes on to Owner, I think the fight looks a lot less close. But Lehens getting the interrupt onto Smash and basically 1v1ing the MF, taking it out of the fight, is a really big deal. And then even though Gideon dies, Carrier still ends up going down. Take another look here.
Oh, right on the edge of the taunt.
Yep.
My goodness.
If he gets tagged by that, they probably all die. And the game is looking very differently. Instead, it is still 6, like NONGHSIM still won that, right? 6 reps for them. They end up getting the dragon as a little extra gift as well, which gets them feats.
Yeah. And now a couple of plates going to be traded here, as at least Smash getting a little bit of an advantage. Stu coming on up, but isn't able to actually get very many of these pesky minions. So they're in a bit of an awkward spot. Lehens going to turn up though, and they're looking to play aggressively. They will get the cleanse out of Smash immediately. Cocoon going to land there as well as Stu's just walking at him. Frost shot going to connect. The volley's going to land as well, and there is nothing they could do about it. That's a huge knock from Kingen, who's just diving the turret. Ulti going to miss as Kingen will go down in the 1v1, but Owner now will find Gideon, and that's going to even it out for T1. They'll take a little bit more. Wind becomes lightning. There's a nice little heal there from Gideon as he's just fighting as best he can, but the damage is going to be there from Owner. Carrier now pushed underneath his turret as Calyx and Faker, they need to do something exciting as well because there is crazy stuff happening all over the map.
And as so often is the case, Owner, the shining light that salvages what looks really rough there for a situation that looked rough for T1. The play onto Doran, it's definitely hard forced, right? Kingen is already low, so him taking aggro, it feels like a necessity because of the fact that he needs to go in for the ult, but the timely arrival of Owner here ends up guaranteeing the 1v2. It's been in the right place in the right time. Still though, topside play was a win for NONGHSIM, right? So it's a 2 for 2 across the board by the end of it. And the woes for Smash and Carrier kind of continue. I feel like the Nico counterpick thus far hasn't really made its mark, and Smash has had some cleanse mishaps and actually ends up going down there as well.
Yeah, and so now we've got a Cloud Drake coming up in 3 minutes time, but the Rift Herald should be the next thing on the cards. There's 1.5 minutes for that one on the top side is Kingen versus Faker.
Alex, oh,
yeah, that Scry's Orb was real nice.
Woo. So that one coming, not going to be caught off guard, and T1's going to be happy, obviously. As
oh, trying to predict a hop, but it doesn't actually happen there from Lehens. Trying to get into the head of his previous teammate.
Yeah, so Faker did pick this as a counterpick into Sylas. So if this is the lane assignment...
Yeah, this is kind of optimal for T1.
He's very happy, yeah. And also RYZE at times has been a top laner, you know, so we know he can.
Keen would definitely argue that he's a top laner.
Yeah. Yeah, Keen also thinks Urgot is still relevant, which I want to be true. Let me be clear.
As a Blippo fan, so do I.
Yeah, it's fun. I love Urgot. I think he's such a fun champion when he works as...
Oh, Carrier not going to quite find it. Immediately has to flash the arrow that Jiu is going to throw at him. Good heads-up play there. Not going to just assume as they do miss a cannon, so that's a -1 in the chat, please.
Even though Ashe and Varus are so similar, Jiu's performance is really a night and day situation. It's kind of crazy. He's actually been able to keep his summoners up or use them in a situation that didn't, you know, involve him making a big mistake. As Doran is in an awkward spot here.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. He's going to try and hop away, but that's a really nice cocoon. As Calyx kind of out of CC for now, and so Doran with the extra movement speed going to be able to get himself out of there. Does have his Trinity Force now done, as well as Merc Treads that look extraordinarily important. As in comes Carrier, pretending to be owner.
Well, the Herald is spawning though, so like he's still gonna have to invest his TP to kind of salvage this situation. As
I would, if I was
King
in,
I actually like this from T1 because they are, instead of trying to contest, which I think should be quite hard with Doran being as low as he is, they're just setting up as, oh, it doesn't spot.
Yeah, all right. We'll see whether Kingin's going to be able to ward them off.
Tough.
He really wants someone to pick up Turret Aggro before he throws out the ulti, but there's Smash with an ulti of his own. He finds it.
Chains!
As Smash gonna have to flash for it, and he does pick up the kill. I don't think he had to flash for it. Maybe that I said that wrong. However, he did flash for it, and it did result in a kill. Still, outer turret falls on the top side of the map. T1 gonna be able to grab the outer on the bottom side, but if this inner turret goes down, NONGHSIM are gonna win out on the play. Still, they're able to defend, and Gideon is able to take the Rift Herald as Lehen's taking a lot of damage. Teleport in from FAKER is going to get him towards this top side. There goes the spider, squished like a bug. But still, it is the Galio being able to make it out relatively safe. I say safe, as they do get the taunt onto FAKER here. Pop Blossom comes out from Carrier, who was pretending to be owner there. The arrow is going to connect. Now FAKER's in trouble, and Gideon, with the ulti running, is seeing what he can get done here. There's King into lockdown, the first one. Chains land onto owner. Smash taken down as well. Kingin, an absolute monster on this Silas. And Doran cannot catch up here, as Carrier going down exceptionally low, or at least looking like he did as he was transformed. Still, Calyx is going to fall, and Doran looking to try and get out. Wind just barely not becoming lightning there. And Kingin, you can see, just desperately wanting to get another one, but isn't able.
This series has been so many of these skirmishes that just makes you go, oh, who's winning?
Yeah, this is crazy.
I am still quite unsure, as initially this looks like a way too aggressive overforce here from Calyx and Gideon, but when you see the TP, it starts to make a little bit more sense. Crucially, a lot of damage goes into FAKER, and he is quite beefy. So the beginning of this fight, I think, really looks quite rough, but the CC from Calyx in this whole sequence ends up being, I think, one of the big reasons why it's even close. Smash ends up going down. And the fact that Carrier doesn't die is a big deal, as now we're not done fighting.
Yeah, Ono lying in wait. We've got a Rift Herald coming down as well, as it is going to be Gideon controlling the ulti, controlling the dragon, sorry. Now they're going to have to possibly get themselves out of here. Let's see whether they can. It's Pop Blossom from Kingin going to come on through. Down goes Doran before he can do anything at all. And T1, I think it's probably just time to cut your losses and get out of there. Lehen's is looking juicy, but I don't think T1 are going to be able to do too much more, just controlling the mid lane as best they can. Cocoon going to land. Lehen's, I don't know about this. Gideon also very, very low. As the Hawk Shot coming on through, and we've got some backs being channeled.
NONGHSIM are not afraid. I think sometimes they should be, but they're not.
Yeah.
Playing on the razor's edge there, very far forward, as both top laners are trying to outdo each other for who can die the most. Doran currently ahead. As we take a look, nice smite there by Gideon. And it's, I can't believe this works. Doran bone blading down, feels he's safe because he almost has Mega, and then he just dies just before he can hit it. Nice ult there as well from Kingin to make sure that the rest of his team can go in on Doran. Doran also forced a sidestep. And it's not clean,
no,
but I'm having a really good time.
Me too. I have no idea what the outcome of this game is going to be, but looking at the 1-1 for all three of the bottom side of the map players from NONGHSIM is cathartic. So that's what I'm focusing on here. As Lehen's trying to find a carrier.
So I do think NONGHSIM are looking a lot more rough in the scaling department than they were in the previous game. I think previous game was very even. This time around, I do. The bot lanes, I think, are a bit more even, but when you look towards the top side of the map, you are not feeling super. Silas obviously feels great, but I do think Ken's struggling to the amount of CC that's available on T1. And then Xin Zhao, Galio, Don't really pick them for, you know, if this game ends up going for like 15 more minutes, which I thought the last game was going to, and then that one ended very abruptly. What I do think NONGHSIM can do is get Chemtech Soul, because that is disgusting on this team.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Ox, you are off the hook this time around. There are a lot of, like, champions on both sides, in fact. Like, Doran maybe wouldn't have died in that last fight if he had a Chemtech Soul and would have been able to utilize it, right? Like, there's a lot of value that you can get, mainly for NONGHSIM, as you were saying. Of course, Silas and the Xin Zhao absolutely love it. As T1 looking to defend their outer in the mid lane. Only one turret picked up on the bottom side of the map here for T1, and on the top side for NONGHSIM, as Carrier seeing whether he can defend his control ward. Not going to quite be able to there, but they at least get rid of the enemies. As Duke just getting control here, doing that back and forth in the mid lane as Kingen coming on over, still with a level advantage, but you can see the gold lead is gone for the Silas.
With Sand coming through for Doran, obviously going to be feeling great in both side lanes.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if FAKER picks up something like a Banshees as well. And there's also the fact that there's a lot of beefy members on T1. The percentage health damage on NONGHSIM is Lahenz's Q.
Yeah.
Which notoriously is not a good ability. Human Q is probably one of the worst abilities in the game.
Hey, but Spider Q also does percentage health
Spider
damage.
Q is great, but you do need to get them low.
Yeah.
Remember when Elise was a top laner because Human Q was
just
busted?
broken? Yeah. And you'd just play her like Karma, just spam Q at the opponent.
Yep.
I do remember that. That was when it was just very obvious. She was overtuned to a ridiculous degree.
Oh, no, we'd never do that.
No. Making it rain here in the mid lane. Jiu just ignoring it. And Gideon is going to show up here. Only going to get spotted. Hawkshot going to have a lot of value this game as well as Carrier. Possible Pop Blossom angle. He is doing pretty well controlling both the clone and himself to make sure that he keeps NONGHSIM on their toes. Oh, high value dash cannon there.
This is both just being annoying.
Yeah.
Lance also knows that no one should be walking up. That is an actual threat as doesn't get the cancel just on the edge there. We do have FAKER already sitting on 2 items. That's one of the small gold leads that we have. Calyx really wants to finish his next one. In terms of stacks though, Calyx is a little ahead as Runans now for GU. That 3rd item spike is going to feel amazing when he hits it. Right now, MF, I think, feeling a lot more dangerous as GU gets completely untouched in these fights. And he needs to do a good amount of damage output because the amount of MR on the enemy team is very substantial.
Yes. All right.
Number 1.
We are just starting the Otacon.
I don't love this.
No, neither do I. It's a little bit scary.
Do this a good amount of times. Oh, he does get the cancel in the back. That is nice. Means FAKER, but comeback, he's still at 2 items. So is it just gone?
Well, it's down to 4,000 health. They're focusing it, and yeah, I don't know whether Owner's going to be able to get it. He does, and he steals it away. Highway robbery here from T1 is now Gideon gets the, Kingen gets the flash in. They take down the Nico immediately. There's the knock-up onto FAKER. He is completely taken out. And now Lahenz, he will be taken by Doran, but FAKER is still in trouble, and there is the taunt to finish him off. Doran goes down as Jiu gets his hands on this Gnar, and over the wall comes Calyx, or at least he tries to. Not going to be able to there, and they'll settle for a kill under the Misfortune. Only Owner left standing. How many of these petals will they actually be able to pick up, though? That's the big question, as there are a lot of them strewn all around the place, and the 3rd Drake going to be picked up here by NONGHSIM.
Again! A crazy sequence of events here as I thought Owner couldn't get in. He can.
That was
him again.
So sick.
Don't quite have the damage, but this play from Kingen sets up the fight. A 3-man ultimate.
And with the Otacon little wall there, I think it also stunned Owner.
He did. Yeah, that's hits the 3-man. Then Jiu actually lands giving his life. Very nicely done. Kingen stalls for a good amount of time. That flash from Smash ends up haunting him because otherwise he just gets out here, flashes over the wall, and he's fine. Instead, Jiu attacks him with the slow, follows up, and that ends up being the difference maker. Nicely done there again by Calyx.
Oh yeah, Carrier actually coming over here and stealing away a bunch of these petals.
They're basically even. NONGHSIM, I'm pretty sure, is also, or was also, at exactly 26.
All right. So not exactly end of the world as in comes Owner, and they are just going to kill the hens. He does repel, gets onto a Mega Blast Cone, and never mind, they don't kill the hens, they try to kill the hens. And Lehens says no. As there's a taunt on to Carrier here, who's dead. That's a colossal smash to the noggin, and instead of Lehens being dead, it's Carrier who's dead. Oh, how the turntables.
This Nico pick is not quite working out, Atlas, as there you go, 32. Okay, for T1, and they did get Otacon, but they also have not gotten.
Yeah, they're not getting the dragon value that the
or
Otacon
the grub
provides.
value. There's no epic objectives. Now Owner can just steal Mash, and then they get.
Ah, right. Yeah, that's actually a really good game plan. Mind control them into taking the Baron. It's Lehens
working.
Possibly in trouble. Smash could be in the wrong spot now, though, as Faker is realm warped in. Gideon engages on top of him. The rest of T1 a little bit too far away, though, and down goes the jungler. Arrow also going to narrowly be hopped here by Doran. And King is in the mid lane, just defending here at the same time. Yeah, there's no smite here anymore. Owner cannot smite when he's dead, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I'm discovering.
That was the game plan!
Oh god, King also has a Gnar ultimate here. Is going to be really dangerous if T1 go for a counter engage, so the Baron is just gone. The bullet time is an attempt, but it's a failure. And the first Baron, once again, here in game number 2, is going to go over to NONGHSIM.
Last time NONGHSIM went for a fight that just went completely awry. They started the second Baron and it was a complete disaster. This time though, actually looking a lot more measured as they try to go in on Lehens, even with the Realm War, but Lehens is at least actually locking him down is really hard. And Gio, when he's uncontested, can obviously just shred down Owner. But this all goes back to that attempted pick from Carrier. Him not having the pop, or him not being there because he doesn't he's not live, right? Not able to actually show up to the fight, not having the pop loss.
Oh, Owner thinks that he's found an angle, but instead it's Lehens that cocoons him up. The rest of T1 are turning up, but Gideon is ignoring them. Wind becomes lightning. Owner is going to get taken down so incredibly low as Kingin finds an ulti. Gio finds an arrow. He knocks it. He takes down Bristle and Sejuani. And now T1 looking to try and defend their inner turret, but these are baroned up minions. These are 6 grubs, and NONGHSIM are having none of it.
Atlas, by any chance, have you looked at your hands recently?
Yes. Oh man, it's quite moist. I'm not gonna lie, there is game all over these hands, Chronicler.
It doesn't have to be wet. It could just be game.
It is though. It's really warm in here.
As NONGHSIM, the gold lead remains within touching distance. That is important to note. And T1, I do think, still have some scaling elements to look forward to, particularly with that RYZE, but FAKER not been able to have the impact on the RYZE that he did on the Taliyah. Doran not doing so hot. Smashing Carrier not doing so hot. This is kind of feeling like a rehash of what happened against Hanwha Life, where Owner was the only one that looked okay, and then eventually even he went down.
Oh god, FAKER taking so much damage here. That's 3 damage items here for Calyx as he realm warps his way out. The fake smash moves in, which terrified me, I'm not gonna lie. Thankfully there is the Nico hue on the champion.
The Baron perfectly ends up setting up for the Chemtech Soul.
Yeah.
NONGHSIM might have actually done it this time around, Atlas.
Well, you say that, and you also often say that curses aren't real, but I want you to be a little bit more careful if you could, because we want to get as much series out of this one as we possibly can. Control ward, making sure that NONGHSIM are unseen as they do spot Gideon moving on in there. We'll be able to clear out this ward here. As, yeah, T1, I mean, yeah, they're looking to try and get some control here of the top side, but that will not help them get a dragon. It's going to be up in 25 seconds time. NONGHSIM now able to move on down there. There's a Rift Scuttler coming up at the same time. Kingin is dealing with that minion wave as this one being taken care of by Gio. And they always have hawk shots and things like this to throw around to make sure they can get something done. As Calyx stepping real far forward, but that was a fake carrier, so not going to need to worry about that too much. And T1, they know that they need to fight for this one. In goes Gideon, just deciding to start off the fight. I don't know about that one, as the ulti does come on through, and he does stay alive. But he's going down relatively low. Kingin on a flank angle, finds an Gnar ulti once again. He's been so good with these. I think mainly because he likes playing Gnar. And so he's pretty good at it in general. Doran has a Nabar in perfect position though as Calix gets engaged on. He just goes into his Zhonya's though. That's going to buy a lot of time here as they take the Soul. And Chemtech Soul is going to help them so much. Look at these health bars already prepared as the Pop Blossom does nothing, but the Nah does everything from King. And Bullet Time is just going to get immune by the two members of NONGHSIM, and the Realm Warp does work, but it just tries to buy time. It just tries to get them out of there, and T1 is still going to die. And we are then going to go to 3 games. Here we are, NONGHSIM. They find the angle here in game 2.
NONGHSIM got close in game 1, but it wasn't quite enough. The Baron ended up being their downfall. That start of the fight with Gideon getting chunked, I was worried, but I needn't be, as NONGHSIM knocking down the Nexus.
Amazing stuff. And as far as bounce backs are concerned,